Yo, hey guys, it's me, Fusion What Ifs, and today I'm going to be doing what if Asta was Kakashi's reincarnation. Obviously, it's, a one shot, and yeah, not really much else to say besides that. I hope you guys check out my what if Deku was Hina's descendants. I'm going to put that in like the top right corner, obviously, and yeah, some of you guys have probably noticed, but like, I have a bunch of like what ifs I've been wanting to do, like what if series or like ideas I've been having, but like I couldn't think of like a full series, and as such they're gonna be one shots. So you guys are in for a lot more of these than you think of, and yeah, not really much else to say. If I got enough likes on the video or like enough comments, I'll obviously make it like a full series, but that's a lot of likes, right? That's all I gotta say right now, and without further ado, play my intro. Okay, with that all said and done, let's get straight into it. Hope you guys have your drinks, your snacks. This one's gonna be not pretty long, maybe like a pretty short one actually. So yeah, we start off with Kakashi dying of chakra absorption. I'm sorry, not absorption, exhaustion, right? This would be after they seal up Kaguya, and I'm gonna say that his body can handle like the double EMS, perfect Sunsano, because obviously he's not Uchiha at all. So the chakra drain would be crazy. The fact that he could even use it as a non-Uchiha is phenomenal, even with the help of, the Sage of Six Paths and stuff like that, right? So obviously he would die in Naruto's arms. He would tell Naruto that, he loved teaching every single one of them as a student, and he started he couldn't do more for his sensei's son, right? What the fudge? I'm sorry. I'll just cut that part out. Anyways, we then have his Asta getting reborn. Sorry, him getting reborn as Asta, right? For, I'm gonna say, plot convenience, he's not gonna have any real consciousness until he gets dropped off at the church. This is just so that he doesn't remember who like his mom is and stuff like that, and like other like crucial plot points that are explained later. But yeah, that would end up happening, and he just end up living his life as Asta pretty much, right? For the first, I'm gonna say, 4 years of his life, it would be pretty normal. He would indeed have like chakra, but like the chakra, like it would be sort of weird because his chakra would stem from the fact that ki exists in the world, right? But the thing is that like unlike ki, his chakra was actually sensible, so people would just chalk it up to being like mana, like weirdly affinitive mana, right? Even though it wasn't mana, it acted like mana, it felt like mana, but it originated from ki, but it's pretty much just chakra, right? Like it's all sort of like confusing, but like they don't really care, at least not yet. So anyways, after a while, I'm gonna say he'd obviously realize that he's not in his own dimension, and he'd realize this pretty quickly. I'm gonna say by like the age of 2, seeing like grimoires and like I'm gonna say Sister Lily using her like water magic. It'd be pretty obvious, right? Because nowhere in like the 5 great nations did he ever see this, and like not even the sage had the ability to use elements this freely, right? So obviously he would be confused, but not completely saddened, right? He still remember like his friends back in Konoha and stuff like that, but things that like for him dying was a sort of peace, right? Because Kakashi was somebody always plagued by survivor's guilt, right? His dad died, he didn't, right? Even though his dad did take his own life, like his dad died, he didn't, right? Then we would have the extermination of pretty much his entire team died, he didn't. His sensei and whatnot died, he didn't, right? And I think that who else? I swear there's someone else in that list too that just died, but he didn't. Like, he'd constantly be plagued by survivor's guilt, right? So the fact that he was able to help in the war and finally die is sort of like a relief to him, right? Sort of like letting go. And the fact that he was reborn, he's just gonna live his life as a normal kid, right? Now, obviously, I'm gonna say that for plot convenience, some of his decisions would end up being affected by the fact that he is indeed a normal kid who is going through puberty, has a undeveloped mind, a not fully developed mind, and also other stuff like hormones. So obviously he would have his own interactions with he wouldn't be as mature, but just be like pretty mature, right? Anyways, I'm gonna say that him and got along pretty well because they both have a similar type of character, and this actually leads to being more, I'm gonna say ended up being more Asta like, right? He'd end up like showing his emotions a lot more, I'm gonna say, because in this role Asta would be sort of, sorry, not Asta, well, Kakashi, Asta in this case, I'm just gonna call him Asta, but Asta would be more of like a older brother role to him, right? So obviously he would be the more childish one trying to catch up to him, and that would end up working because I'm gonna say that, you know, Kakashi's chakra supplies far surpasses Yuno's mana supplies, right? Which is saying a lot since Yuno is obviously, you know, Spade Nation Prince. Sorry, that's I don't think that's a spoiler. I think, you know, I think that they've gone there. Hopefully, actually, if they haven't, my fault. Spoiler alert. But like, yeah, he is indeed a prince, and he has a sound amount of mana, 4-leaf clover, and a bunch of other things, right? So obviously, with all that said and done, the fact that he could be beaten mana would end up leading to him, you know, being sort of like weaker in a sense, being like a younger brother. But that's not to say that, you know, him and Asta still wouldn't get along, right? Now, time skip 2 years and end up being like 6 years old. Now, Asta would obviously still have done like his training and stuff like that, because even though he's not a ninja anymore, he still does the training, because it's just like it's like ingrained in his system, obviously, right? And this is when we have them go out to, I'm gonna say, deliver a letter to a different village, because I'm gonna say that, you know, they just got assignments like that because, you know, they're both really mature. And on their way back, it would be sort of like nighttime, and end up getting, you know, attacked by this one drunk mage, right, who would have like, I'm gonna say, like minor water magic or something like that, right? So after being attacked, you know, actually end up taking an attack for him, right? Like, even though Asta could like dodge this, I'm gonna say that, you know, didn't think so, and just like end up throwing something from the attack. And this is when you know, Izuku's having like, you know, sorry, not Izuku, also having like flashbacks, right? Flashbacks of his time as Kakashi, where, you know, he let his friends get hurt, and he would end up seeing, you know, like pretty much like bleeding on the floor. And this is when time sort of slowed down to him, right? Now, obviously, this is when he would end up walking, you know, his Sharingan. I'm gonna say 2 Tomoe in one eye, 1 Tomoe in the left eye. You know, the Sasuke special back in the Land of Waves. And yeah, for lack of a better word, he would beat the absolute dog shit out of this random mage. Like, did not stand a chance in hell. But I digress. After doing that, he would end up going up to, you know, I'm gonna say he's gonna actually end up using, you know, like the Mystic Palm Jutsu, because, you know, jutsus still work. He can still use jutsus. He's been trying to use jutsus, but he actually hasn't been able to like use any of them just yet. But after the awakening of a Sharingan, he's actually able to use any jutsu he wanted, right? Or any jutsus that he already knew and has, you know, the chakra capacity for. So I end up going up there, healing Yuno. And so when Yuno would then say, I'm sorry, Izuku, I was just trying to protect you and stuff like that, right? Izuku would, sorry, fuck, I'm not saying Izuku. Also would end up saying, it's okay, you know, that's what brothers do. And this is when, you know, would look towards the sky and say, I don't ever want to be weak again, right? I want to be the new Wizard King and, you know, bring peace to the world or something like that and be the strongest. This is when Asta would say, not if I get there first, right? And yeah, that's what would happen. They ended up like fist bumping, and it would be sort of like the scene in canon. After that, I'm gonna say that we have what, how old are they right now? 6? How old are they? Grimoire is 15. 9-year time skip, and throughout this time skip, we would have, you know, them just training physically and like, you know, I guess like energy wise, right? At this point, you know, would be a prodigy at, you know, his like wind magic and stuff like that, and Izuku would be a prodigy at the same, but everyone would only think that he has lightning magic, right? The thing is that like no one would know that except like, I'm gonna say, you know, that he actually has 5 elements, right? That being, you know, fire, water, earth, wind, and lightning, right? Because he only shows lightning to, you know, not gain suspicion. But anyways, there would be like the hope of, I guess, Hodge Village, and obviously we'd finally have the Grimoire ceremony. The Grimoire ceremony, they'd all both get there. There would be a few nobles and stuff like that, but they wouldn't really care. I'm gonna say that Asta would be at the similar height of Yuno in this one, because, you know, I can't really imagine Kakashi's reincarnation being short at all, especially since Kakashi himself is actually pretty decently tall. So yeah, that would end up happening, and we would have, you know, Kakashi and, you know, just standing there until 2 glimmering lights would then start floating down to both of them. This obviously would be, you know, his 4-leaf grimoire, and I'm gonna say Asta's 4-leaf grimoire as well. His 4-leaf grimoire would look a little bit different though. It'd be like a pure white color, like grayish white in a sense, right? 4 leaves nonetheless, and everyone could feel his energy, like his chakra, and was mistaken as, you know, mana, and be like, dang, 2 commoners got 4 leaves? What the heck? And, you know, they start like pretty much like being like in confusion, confused. And this one also wouldn't say, well, it doesn't really matter because there's no way the Witcher King would have anything less than 4 leaves, right? And it's immediately everyone like, what the heck? He just says he's the Witcher King. Some people end up believing because he has a 4-leaf Grimoire, and some people end up being like, oh, he's just spewing out his ass. Afterwards, we then end up having, in the chainmail situation, I'm gonna say that in this one, wouldn't even get caught because he's a lot stronger. He just ended up using some wind slashes, cuts up the chains, beats the beats the chain mage, and that ended up happening. But I am gonna say that an anti-magic bird would be pestering Izuku, right? Sorry, not Izuku, Asta, because Asta in this one will still end up having no magic pretty much, because he just has chakra, so anti-magic birds will still be attracted to him. I'm gonna say random birds just poking him, end up leading him all the way to this one hole in the wall, right? He'd be confused what happened until he puts his hand on the wall, and immediately after he feels some book. Immediately as he feels this book, it can actually be sort of made, and he would feel some sort of energy coursing through him, right? And I'm gonna say that for purposes that chakra wouldn't actually interfere. Sorry, that anti-magic wouldn't actually interfere with chakra at all in the slightest. So it would just be him having 2 energies running through his system, but one of them was obviously a lot more sinister, right? And he would be akin to, I guess, a Biju in a sense, is the only way he can really describe it. So we'd end up pulling out the Grimoire, and it would end up being obviously the rusty 5-leaf Grimoire, the anti-magic, Grimoire. And yeah, he ended up looking through it and actually end up being able to use it, and end up pulling out the Demon Slayer sword, the biggest sword. He's able to carry it with ease because, like I said before, he does do his training. And yeah, this is when something weird would happen, right? I'm gonna say that his regular white grayish Grimoire sort of starts reacting to the anti-magic whatever, right? The anti-magic Grimoire, right? And it's sort of combined in a sense, right? So half his Grimoire would end up being this white color, and the other half end up being this black color at the end, right? The cover would end up being the further Grimoire with the dull whatever, but the back would end up being the anti-magic Grimoire with the black symbols on it. So essentially, that's what would happen. I didn't really explain his Grimoire, but his Grimoire would end up being able to for him to have a bunch of jutsus written down, right? Because obviously Kakashi have 1,000 jutsus. He can't remember them all, even with the Sharingan. So we could end up putting him on a Grimoire, essentially. I'm gonna say that's what the Grimoire is gonna be used for, just so that he can use a bunch of jutsus a lot easier. And yeah, that's pretty much it. He would have the exam, and he wouldn't really fail anything. I'm gonna say that actually no, he would fail a bunch of stuff. He would still fail the flying one. He'd get the aim test right. He'd do the actual fighting test. Same person beats them up with complete ease. And yeah, he actually ended up still getting his hand risen. Sorry, not hand risen, but the captains ended up raising their hand for him, a bunch of them, but not all of them. I'm gonna say he's ended up picking the Black Bulls because of, I'm gonna say, his interaction with Yami at the start, sort of in canon. And yeah, that pretty much be it. He ended up looking at Yuna and say that I'm gonna take this bottom ranked team to the very top before I become the Magic King. This is when Yuna starts saying, start speaking like that when you can actually beat me. But that's when Kakashi, asking him a look really now, knowing that he can actually beat Yuna any day of the week, and then saying, I'm just messing around, man. See you soon, brother. And fist bump again. They'd end up going, and yeah, they get back to base. I'm gonna say that Asta still ends up fighting Magma for the initiation, a lot easier than in canon. He wouldn't even use Demon Slayer. I'm gonna say he just ends up using a lightning magic a lot. I'm gonna say he does have sort of lightning cloak that he learned from Raikage. And yeah, that's pretty much gonna be the end of this one. Sorry this one was so rushed. I kind of just ran out of ideas during the end. There's a reason why some of these ones are obviously being made into one-shots, right? But anyways, that's all I have to say. Stay cold, stay frosted. Peace.